What's going on, guys? I'm blessed to be bringing on right now one of the top players in college basketball, and she was named SEC Freshman of the Year, Samara Spencer. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. I guess really get started right into the interview. I see you're repping some Arkansas merch. Obviously, you do play for them, and the season is over, as we all know. So, have you guys been doing anything, or is everything going on like with the team, or has this kind of been the off season mode now for yourself?
Well, after our first round loss versus Utah, that was kind of like when we started our off period. So we were kind of off for like, I'd say 2.5, 3 weeks before we actually got back in the gym. Last week was our first week in the gym. We go Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and we have Tuesdays and Thursdays and the weekends off. Um, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, all those days we lift weights, and Monday and Wednesday we 2 hours in the day each. On Monday and Wednesday, we get in the gym and we do some workouts. We play against each other, stuff like that.
When you guys play against each other, are those like more of a very serious kind of thing, or sometimes get kind of fun and competitive? What's the vibe of that?
Well, mostly competitive because I mean we're all competitors, but we do have some like a few people that sat out last year from a transfer to a person that was hurt. So we kind of are trying to get in the groove of playing with each other, getting accustomed to knowing what each other's playing styles are like and things like that.
And I'm sure compared to high school, uh, like I'm sure the high school off season was kind of similar, but also kind of different. It's not, you're not going to a Division 1 facility or anything like that, having all these coaches like saying the conditioning or like there's tons of assistants. It's more much smaller field, no matter what high school you go to. So, what's it like, kind of having this off season where it almost feels like in a way there's no off season, like you're almost always practicing or still always in the gym compared to high school? How have you like adjusted to that?
Well, I mean, I kind of like it better than high school because in high school it's kind of like you would have to force yourself after the season to get into the gym, and you would have to kind of find a gym because it was either in high school like a different sport was using the gym or like other places were being used, so you couldn't really like find a time to get in. But knowing that I have that gym access and I have the accessibility to my coaches and stuff like that, it's actually a lot better than high school. I actually like it a lot more.
Yeah, I think the thing too is because when the season ends, like in high school, it's kind of sad. Like you're used to going to that gym literally every day for like 2 hours, like practicing, and all of a sudden you have your final game, and like I haven't gone, like I went into my school's gym today for something, but like I basically don't go in there anymore, and it's so weird like going in and like basically never being there anymore after for like 2, 3, like 5 months straight, you're always in there. So I think it's kind of nice in college where you're still always gonna kind of be in the gym, and it's not like you're like away from the game that long.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah. Then I guess just continuing on with the interview. You said I guess you have like always access to the gym. What's maybe been the weirdest time? I don't know if you have like 24 access. Like, what is like the weirdest time you've gone to the gym this year, if you do have that 24 access?
Um, Probably. I mean, it's actually kind of weird because we share the facility with the men's basketball team, so you see a lot of those like men's players, and they're the type of people who like to go in the gym at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I find it kind of weird to go in the gym that late just because that's the time that I want to sleep. But I'd say probably like early in the morning because like the whole entire facility is dead. Nobody's in there. It's just like a ghost town.
Mm-hmm. And kind of having access, you talking about the facilities, but that's obviously a big deal compared to these high school players I'm talking to, because that's not what their life is. They're not going to a Division 1 facility, and I'm sure Arkansas, it's probably very nice. So what's that like? Even though I know you went to, I think, St. Thomas, that school is super nice, obviously, but doesn't really compare to going to a high major Division 1 college. So what was it like, kind of seeing the facility, seeing all the amenities you got? And I guess how often do you really take advantage of those?
We have something called the Jones Center, and it's basically like an academic center and like a cafe for student athletes only. So if you're not a student athlete, you can't really like have access to that. I feel like I use that a lot. I go there and eat every day because it's free. And then I do some of my work there. I'll probably come home and do most of my work, but just the fact that like things all over campus are spread out. So the fact that you could just like walk from class to the Jones Center and eat, or walk from class to the Jones Center to do homework. It's pretty cool.
Mhm. Being in college, again, you mentioned all the other coaches. I'm sure you maybe have like some of them might handle like a diet or something like that or what you eat. So like going to college, did you have to kind of change up your eating? And if so, what'd you do with that?
Um, I am not a very good gainer of weight. It's not genetically something that's possible for me. So I've had to gain a lot of like the pounds that I have gained in muscle. And so my strength and conditioning coach, that's one person I'm actually really close with. Like when I go in there, when we do weights and stuff like that, like we weigh in and he'll see my weight and he'll be like, okay, we got to do this to get you like your weight up. We got to do this to get your weight up. But that's the one person I take advantage of most, just simply because he's going to help me gain like more tone, gain more muscle, and things like that.
And coming from a school in St. Thomas, again, very nice school, but it's a private school. Obviously, it's not like a huge public school or anything like that. You probably know, either all the kids in your grade or maybe the whole school or stuff like that. You're definitely familiar with all those kids, I would assume. And coming to a big state school like Arkansas, how do you really handle that adjustment? Going from like a smallish private school to now a pretty big university.
Well, it's kind of weird because like most of the football players that I went to school with, like I knew all of them. There wasn't one that I didn't know. And when you come here to college, it's like you only see a small portion of them. And it's weird because it's like, there's probably like a good like 60%, 70% of the people on the team that you haven't seen before. It's a lot of people though. And then there's like a whole bunch of different teams too. So it's just like swimming, gymnastics, soccer, track. There's a lot of people and a lot of athletes here. It's a lot different than St. Thomas, where you could like see people every day walking past them in the halls. Unlike here, you really don't know when you're going to see one person or if you're going to see the same person again in a week.
Yeah, but you did mention the whole Jones Center thing where it's like, a place for all the athletes to go eat or study, whatever. So do you kind of meet like a lot of athletes that way? Like, do you try to network and talk to other sports players, or do you more just kind of stick with the women's basketball team?
I really only I have a couple of friends on different teams, but mostly I stick with a couple of my teammates and that's it. Most of the time it's like unless you have a class with somebody, because you guys are like majoring in the same thing, that's the only thing that's the only time you'll see them. But then again, you don't really talk to them just because it's like kind of weird. Like you don't know them. And then there's like a lot of people, so
Yeah. What's been your favorite part, I guess, about the college life?
Uh, probably living on my own and having like my own space. I live with three other people, but like I have my own room and I can do my own things. I can go grocery shopping whenever I want to go grocery shopping. I can go get food whenever I want to go get food. And it's just like a step better than living at home with your parents. Not saying living at home with your parents is
Mhm.
bad, but you just have that kind of like freedom to just like go do you whenever you want to.
Yeah, I guess the one thing that makes it like not the worst in the world live with your parents is that your parents they could do some cooking, they could do some cleaning. You don't really have to handle that. Is that
Right.
something you kind of miss having them, or do you almost like being independent, like being able to cook? Like I don't know if you're a good cook or not, but I know when I go to college, I don't know what I'm gonna do with cooking and probably just, get a meal plan.
I like before I left for college, my mom made it a very big deal that I needed to learn how to cook so that I wouldn't be spending my money on food. So I know how to cook a little bit, but I would just rather not just because you have to go to the store and get the ingredients, come back, make it, and then the washing the dishes part is the worst part. I hate washing dishes so much. So I'd rather go out and spend my money on food than cook, even though I have the ability to.
Yeah, that's interesting because for me, I feel like I'd rather watch. If someone told me like I will make you like 5-star food like every night, but you have to wash the dishes, I'll just wash those dishes. Like, I'll be like, yeah, sure, like whatever. As long as it's food that I like I'll wash my own dishes. But if it's like something that someone else ate that like I don't like what they ate, then I can't wash that dish. Other than that, I think it's kind of easy, low key.
Everybody has their own preference.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
facts, facts,
no,
facts.
I just hate it. Like it's just a simple fact, like because at home it was like you would only have to wash the dishes. Like your parents would make the food, but you would only have to wash the dishes.
Mhm.
Now I have to make the food and wash the
Oh,
dishes.
okay, yeah, I get where that's coming from. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Yeah. So are you living? I'm gonna assume you're living in like an apartment or something, because you have to watch it like that. I'm assuming it's not in a dorm room. So are you living like off campus?
Yeah, so when I came in the summer, I came for the second session and I was living in a dorm then. But then I guess they kind of like enrolled a whole lot of like freshmen for my class. And so that caused us, like the student athlete freshmen, to have to move into like these apartments that are like on campus. Well, not on campus, but like close to campus.
Yeah, yeah.
And so basically, it's like we're living in a dorm, but we're just living in an apartment. Like we don't pay rent and we're like under like a master lease, but we're still kind of like living in an apartment, so it's like better than a dorm.
hmm I was curious though, like again, I don't know how it works with athletes. You obviously got more of a busy schedule, but I was almost like I was considering going to if you're in school and living in an apartment. But I was thinking like I feel like when you're in the dorm, you kind of get that more connection to the students. You even though you're basically right on campus, I'm sure it's like right across the street. Like you're technically not on campus. Like, do you at all miss like kind of being a little more connected to the campus? Do you like being a little more away in the apartment? What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, all of the athletes are in this building, so all the freshman athletes. So like, I feel like it's kind of like the same if you were in a dorm. You just have better living. Like you have your own bathroom, you have your own space, like you have your own dishes and stuff like that. Um, I mean, the dorm experience, it was kind of cool when I was there for the summer, but it would have been cooler if I had that for this whole entire freshman year. But I'm not complaining because I'm living well right now. So
Mhm. Yeah, I'm sure it's definitely a nice apartment for sure. I feel kind of bad asking all these more. Well, not that you care, but like I kind of want to get more into the basketball stuff, but there's still some more things I was curious about college. So I guess I'm wondering for you, um, obviously, like I guess we wouldn't say you're, like LeBron James level like celebrity status, but what you've done at a young age, you're probably a pretty big deal again. SEC Freshman of the Year. Do people around campus like recognize you? Like, do you ever have some students like, oh wait, you're Samara Spencer? Like, can I get a picture? Like, how does that work on campus? Do a lot of people know who you are?
if I was on the men's team, I'd say that that would be the case. But for women's basketball here, we don't really get as much attention as the men's team. So I'm basically like a regular student. Unless I walk around with an Arkansas basketball shirt on or an Arkansas backpack, like an Arkansas basketball book bag on, that's the only time someone would notice me. But like I said, in the Jones Center, that's where people notice you at because like there are other athletes, they keep up with all the athletics here. So that's pretty much the only place somebody would notice me is in there, not really so on like regular campus.
So has anybody ever been like, oh my gosh, like, are you on the basketball team? Like, how you get pictures? Has that ever happened on campus or no?
No, but people do like when people see you in public, they do follow you on Instagram. Like that's kind of weird to me. Like you've seen me in here before, but you're just now following me on Instagram. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
I think it's more weird like if they like let's say I just saw you in public and I somehow just like I didn't see your name. It's not like walking around with a big name tag and I somehow found your Instagram.
Yeah.
Like I think that's more of the weirder part. Like just
Right.
like I mean I feel like I kind of do that like with my Instagram and stuff, trying to like find people to interview, but that's a business. It'd be so weird if I saw someone in school and I'm like, let me just try to like find like I just think that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Very weird.
Yeah. And I'm transitioning into the college basketball season. Obviously, I mean, you were able to succeed at doing that. How's that adjustment, from high school to college basketball? I'm gonna assume it was harder, but again, you did do well in it. So how were you able to succeed in that adjustment?
I just feel like I picked the right place for me in Arkansas. They kind of fit the style, they very much fit the style that I played like in high school. So it wasn't really like a big adjustment for me to come here. The only thing that I would say was my biggest concern coming in was like, am I going to play that much? Am I going to get like a lot of playing time? But over the summer and like in our off season, and in our preseason, I kind of, showed what I could do. So that gained like the confidence of my coaches in me, that gained the confidence of my teammates in me. And like I really didn't have to adjust much. Maybe in like the people are a lot bigger, are a lot quicker, but it was easy to adjust. It wasn't something that like I had a hard time doing. and it wasn't something that kind of like stumped me where I was like, okay, I can't do this.
And we see a lot of players enter the transfer portal, in college basketball, and I'm sure it's not like a main reason, but sometimes it seems like there's a trend where a lot of guys enter the transfer portal, like it's either because their coach left or like they didn't really get the playing time or the experience they wanted. And you said like you weren't really sure whether that was going to happen or not. So, I mean, it was like kind of coming into college with that uncertainty, and how come you didn't try to like figure that out beforehand?
Well, coming into college with that uncertainty, I mean, everybody has that. It's like coaches can't guarantee you something. They can say it to you.
Yeah. Like I mean, they could tell you and be like, we think you're gonna have this role. Like, of course, got to put the work in, but like we think you're
Yeah.
gonna have this role. So that's kind of why I was like really curious.
Yeah. But I just feel like my coaches, like they were straight up with me when they were recruiting me. They were like, we really like your style of play. Like we want you to come here and like be you, but we're not gonna like guarantee you any playing time, and like we're not gonna guarantee that you're going to play. But if you put work and effort into it, then you can make your way into that role. And that's what I did.
So was that like almost that a final statement? Like, but if you put in the work, you'll be able to play and get minutes, or how come you knew that Arkansas would be a good place for you and potentially you could have just ended up not playing a single minute this season?
Well, I just knew that the way I was going to be a competitor when I came here. And I knew that I was going to kind of like adjust. And even if it was kind of hard for me to adjust, I could always have somebody who was like older than me to help me through it. And then I had also the coaches who would help me get through it if I was having a problem.
Mm-hmm. And then with choosing Arkansas, like I feel like just being kind of far away from South Florida, like the state of Arkansas and South Florida, probably two very different places to live, in terms of the people around there,
Yeah.
maybe, the environment, the geography as well. So what was it like for you, choosing to commit there at a place is just so different from where you're from?
Well, my main goal when I was looking for a place to go to play basketball was I did not want to be in the state of Florida. Like I wanted to get away from my parents. I didn't want to be close to them. I didn't want them to have access to just be able to like drive up and come see me whenever they wanted to. So me picking Arkansas, actually when I picked it, I had no clue where it was on the map. But I really feel like it's just the place for me. Like it's definitely a change from South Florida, but it's a good change. It's not really a bad change. Like South Florida is like city, there's always movement, there's always people on the go. Here it's like a small town and like everybody is about Arkansas Razorbacks. And in South Florida, you don't really get that. Like there's a whole bunch of different other teams that people are interested in, but here it's just this one team. So it's kind of like a good feeling to know and have that like safe space in this city.
Yeah. Did you ever end up, I don't know how it worked with Corona and everything. Were you able to make a visit to Arkansas or how'd that work?
I actually did not get to have an official visit. So I visited in 2019 before like the whole COVID stuff had started in September of 2019, I think. And then in November of 2019, I committed. And I was supposed to have my official visit last year, but due to COVID, we couldn't, like, the NCAA didn't let people have official visits. So I actually never got one.
So, why was your decision like? How were you able to make a good decision? If you were able to take a lot of those, official visits and probably unofficial visits. Like, how were you at all maybe nervous, almost like I'm going to pick Arkansas, but this maybe there's a good chance it might not work out because I was never able to really make a visit. Like, how'd you know which schools were good or which ones were without really getting a lot of visits?
Well, when I came here on my visit in 2019, it was an unofficial visit, but like I got to see the culture because I came to a football game. I got to see the culture of the school, and then I got to watch a practice when I came also. So it was like I kind of saw what it was like. And then as COVID was hitting and stuff and they were playing games, I would watch their games and I would just sit and be like, okay, I can definitely imagine myself playing in a system like that. And I mean, I was confident in my decision when I made my decision because I had a few choices. I had George Washington and Arkansas are my two top choices. And I knew that I didn't want to be in the city at George Washington. So that was what took the cake for Arkansas for me, was that George Washington was in the city and Arkansas was kind of like in a rural area. So it was something that I knew I wanted.
Mhm. I think also a big difference too is, George Washington. I mean, I would say they're in like, I guess the best mid-major conference, being in the A10, but you're going to play, mid-major basketball or play, high major SEC basketball. I mean, the NCAA champion this year came from the SEC. So, like, how come, that wasn't a more bigger factor for you, like being able to play on the best possible stage you could?
Well, I just wanted to go somewhere where I was going to be playing D1 basketball, whether it was SEC, ACC, A10, but Arkansas did play a role in like the fact that it was in the SEC, it did play a role in me picking the school just because it was like a tough conference. Like I knew I could excel in it. And I knew if I would be able to battle with these people in this conference that it would show and prove that I'm as good as as good as people think I am.
Mm-hmm. And heading to the season now, I guess we're probably not going to break down like game by game, but I just want to know. So, looking at your stats, so your first game, I don't know what, I don't even know what team that even is, but I think you played some team from Texas. I think you had 17 minutes. So I'm curious for you. Were you surprised that you got that much playing time? Did you think you were gonna, play a lot of minutes? Like, on your first game, were you like, I have no idea what to expect. Like, we'll see what happens, or did you kind of have an idea how it was going to go down?
I didn't expect to play that much, but I knew once I got in, I just had to do what I had to do. And if that was gonna help me stay in the game longer, then that's what I was gonna do. But it was just like I got in the game and I was just being me. So that's what helped me stay on the floor.
Mhm. And in those 17 minutes, you scored 12 points. So I'm not going to do the math, but obviously you were pretty efficient. Was that maybe one of the most like, efficient games you ever had? What was it like kind of just being in and like basically every time you hit the ball, you're able to do something with it?
It was actually kind of cool just because, I had a lot of good people on my team. So the fact that I got in and I was able to have that many attempts of scoring the ball, I was able to score the ball that many times was pretty cool just because I'm a freshman and I didn't really know if I was, going to be the person standing in the corner waiting for a pass or if I was going to be the person bringing the ball up the court and making something happen.
Mm-hmm. And I guess one of your probably more favorite games, I'm just gonna guess. I'm gonna guess maybe beating number 12 LSU where you dropped 20 points, or my guess is maybe that one's a favorite. I was ranked matchup. I know that wasn't the most amount of points you scored in the season, but that was versus a ranked team. Looks like it was at home. What was that game like? I think you played some ranked teams before it, but still, you're really successful in that one. So what was that like?
It was actually pretty cool. The atmosphere in the building was like it was insane. Just a simple fact, like we were playing close with them for like the first couple of minutes, but then like we broke away just by our 3-point shooting. And then when we got that momentum, we kind of like held it. But it was pretty cool just to see like I had other people around me doing the same thing I was doing, scoring 20 points, scoring 25 points. And it was just like, yeah, that probably is one of my favorite games, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess just continuing on. I mean, making the tournament in your freshman year, I'm sure it was a big deal. Just experiencing selection Sunday, going to play the tournament. How awesome was that experience? Because not a lot of players get to experience that.
Yeah, so when we had the selection show, we had like a selection party, and we were at the football facility actually, because that's where like the SEC office is, and we ate and then we went down and we like got called, like the band was there was a whole lot of people there, our names got called one by one for us to go sit down, and then we were kind of waiting, and then when our name finally got called, everybody went crazy. It was like kind of like a surreal feeling because like a lot of people don't get to experience that, and for me to be able to experience it in my first year in college basketball was pretty cool.
Mhm. And then at the end of your season, unfortunately you lose to Utah, 92 to 69. I'm sure you'd probably say you didn't play your best, but you still played, I would say, maybe decent. You shot 46.7%. You scored 18 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. I want to say either one or two steals. Yeah, 2 steals, and even a block. When that game ended, what were some of the things you were thinking about? Were you like, damn, like, this sucks. Like, I wish my season would keep going on. Were you maybe thinking like, man, my freshman year, for me coming in thinking I wasn't going to play, he's actually kind of successful. What were you thinking more positively? Were you a little more angry? What were the thoughts after the game?
It was kind of just like it was like the last game for one of like the people that has been here for like a really long time, and also like one of the people who on the court like I look to most in passing the ball to. So it was kind of like sad, I guess you could say, but I was also thinking about how next year like the goal is to make it further, because the year before I got here they lost in the first round also. So it was kind of like that was the second year in a row, and for me it was like next year, like we don't want to be in the same place. We don't want to have this same feeling. We want to, get to the second round, maybe even get to the third round. Like we want to just get somewhere other than the first round.
Yeah, so I guess I was more of like a motivational kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something I want to know more about, this almost like, college hoops talking away. You guys play South Carolina a couple times. They beat you the first time only by 9, and the second time they beat you by 22. Maybe that loss when you lost them by 22 points. In your head, were you at all like, I think, this team, they're gonna be the ones to win it all, or do you ever kind of like have that thought?
I knew that from the first game we played them that they were probably going to be the ones to win it all, just because they have so many lethal pieces in their starting five, but also coming off the bench. They had more size coming off the bench than they had in their starting lineup, which was kind of crazy. So whenever they would sub in, their lineup would just get bigger, and
Mhm.
it would be harder for me and my fellow PG Mac to score. So we had to kind of like adjust our games in order to be able to score. Uh, I mean, they're a really good team, honestly. I can't take that away from them. They have really good players, and yeah.
Yeah, it's still crazy to think about. I remember I told you before the interview, like you're probably one of the more accomplished players I interviewed. I would say Raven Johnson was also one of those for me. And she ended up. I actually only watched. I literally put on the game. Like it was terrible. I was might have been like bad luck for her. I put in the game, and for because I'm like, oh, South Carolina's playing. Let me watch. Whatever. Let me watch Raven Johnson. I interviewed her, and then put it on. And 2 minutes later, like she's injured, and I'm like, wow, like this sucks. And they still ended up winning. So I think that really shows like they were definitely deep.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So again, the SEC conference, they had the winners. They play. You played, a handful of ranked teams. Next year, I don't think you guys were. Actually, well, I'm assuming making the tournament, you might have been ranked. I'm not sure. I doesn't really show that when looking at like the game log, but how good do you expect the team to be next year? Oh crap. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if you were able to hear me before, but like it looked like it glitched out. So I'll say my question again. But what are the expectations for next year's team now? How high do you guys expect to be ranked? A lot of stuff.
We actually weren't ranked this season, which was like, I mean, there's a lot of teams who deserve to be ranked who weren't ranked. But I just feel like the rankings don't really matter. I mean, those ones, twos, threes, whether you're first, 25th, 24th, they don't really matter, because when it comes time to when it comes time to the tournament, those unranked teams are the teams beating the higher ranked teams. So I just feel like going into next season, we're not really worried so much about rankings. We're worried much about like ourselves and our progress and our success in next season.
Mm-hmm. And it would be, kind of bad for me. I guess basic question, but it would be bad if I never spoke about this. I mean, winning SEC Freshman of the Year, especially again in the conference with the NCAA champion South Carolina, like y'all, you weren't in like an easy conference. You were in, I guess you could say, and be the best conference for women's college basketball this year. What was it like, achieving that accomplishment and kind of looking back on that, or were you able to accomplish this year?
It's actually kind of crazy. I don't think it's like set in that I want it yet. And I don't think I understand how big of an accomplishment that is. I mean, the SEC is probably one of the toughest conferences there is, and there were a lot of great freshmen in my conference this year. But I mean, at the end of the day, I was, the top producing freshman. I was the one getting a lot of minutes. I was the one producing when I was in the game. So just to be able to know that I picked the right place for me that can help me accomplish something like that is it feels pretty good.
Yeah, I was literally about to say, like, you kind of mentioned how picking the right place that really helped. Like, what does you winning SEC Freshman of the Year kind of show to players? Like, it's not about where you go, even though, again, you went to high major school, but I wouldn't say Arkansas is like a women's college basketball powerhouse. Like, I guess, how does you winning SEC Freshman of the Year kind of showcase, it's important. It's not about the name of the school, it's about, where you're going to fit in.
Right. So coming in, I was coming in with two McDonald's All Americans and two other people who had accomplished a lot of other things. So, there were the other freshmen in our league were kind of like, top 100 in ESPN, McDonald's All Americans. And honestly, to me, rankings never mattered. So for me to come in and do what I did, not having a number next to my name when I came in, is pretty great to see, just because there are a lot of people who deserve to be ranked but aren't, and they kind of fall back from, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm not as good as these people, when in reality that's not the case. A lot of the times it's just politics and that type of stuff. And when you get somewhere and you want to succeed, you can't really think about, whether you had a number next to your name coming in, whether you had that accolade of McDonald's All American, Jordan Brand Classic, any of that stuff. It really just doesn't matter when you get to the college level, just because coaches and people playing against you don't really care about that.
So would you say that you really kind of ended up playing this season with a chip on your shoulder, maybe more of a chip this season than you did, in high school when you're more the well-known player in South Florida? Like now you're in Arkansas and you're more of like a no name. Would you say kind of that chip on your shoulder, not being a highly ranked player, all that stuff really helped you to get to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that. I wasn't really coming in thinking about that I had a chip on my shoulder to prove something, but just the fact that I came in and was able to do it without something like that next to my name is probably something that a lot of people could take a lesson from. It just doesn't really matter what you have next to your name. As long as you come in and do what you're supposed to do, you'll be able to win accolades. You'll be able to be accomplished and feel successful in your time playing basketball.
So if it wasn't, a chip on your shoulder kind of thing, what was maybe the motivational factor for you that kind of got you to have such a great season?
Probably the fact that I was just overlooked. Like when I came here, everybody was talking about one of my teammates. That's really the only person that they saw. And so I was like, dang, what about me? I'm coming from a place where basketball was pretty good. I had a pretty good run in my basketball career in high school. But, being kind of like overlooked, like, that's just another girl coming in. It was kind of like, I wouldn't say hurtful, but it was kind of like a dang kind of feeling, like I'm also somebody good coming in. I'm not just a name. And so when I got here and I did what I did, and then people started finally recognizing, like, oh, she's actually really good. Like, even though she doesn't have that same accolade as such and such, she's actually like really good and she's helping us out. I mean, it's just something that you got to take it and run with it. Honestly, you can't really sit and dwell over it. So
Yeah, unless I misunderstand like what chip on your shoulder means, I think you basically just like said what that meant in that response. So you could say, I didn't have a chip on my shoulder, but it sounds like you did, unless I just don't know what it means.
I'd say chip on your shoulder is more so like not a jealousy thing, but I could be that. I would look good doing that. I could be in that position that they're in. And that's kind of not something that I wanted. Like I never needed an accolade or McDonald's All American or
Mhm.
anything like that to
Okay.
kind of like define who I am. I just did what I did. And that's where my definition came from.
Yeah. All right. That definitely makes sense for sure. And I guess be doing this interview, you'll be giving a lot of good responses, all that stuff. I'm kind of curious, like, did college basketball that kind of teach you how to speak to? I want to call myself like the press, like I guess I'm doing an interview, so I kind of am. Like, did college basketball in Arkansas? Did they teach you how to talk to media? Were you always kind of good at just speaking to people? Like how that worked for you?
I've always been kind of good at speaking to people, just because my parents always knew, like, there would come a day where I would be interviewed a lot, or somebody would come ask me a question and I would have to know how to speak. So this is kind of like easy for me, I guess you could say, just because It's not so much so like an ESPN interview or anything like that. Not saying that this is an
Yeah,
important interview,
yeah,
but
yeah. I was gonna say like, yo, you're giving me this is my own chip on my shoulder now. I'm like, I was just called. Can't
it's
word
just
the
like ESPN with you don't know how many people watching you.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
a lot of people could criticize you easily about the way that you talk. I would just say that, it was something that I knew I had to not be good at, but be okay and decent at in order to sound well and good.
And now we can kind of transition to something a little more interesting. We kind of talk about some fashion topics in a way. So, I was going through your Instagram, and I was looking at some of the posts you were tagged, and I see you had to rock the face mask a little bit during the college basketball season. I'm sure it's because you were injured like somewhere on your face, but I think it's kind of cool. I feel like if someone was like, "Yo, like you could wear a face mask, like even if you're not injured," I think I would almost consider doing it because the reputation I feel like kind of has, like when LeBron James did it, when Kobe did it. I think wearing a face mask is kind of cool. What's like being able to rock that? Was it like is it annoying to play in?
Yes, it's so annoying. And I was kind of upset that I couldn't get a black one because I really wanted a black one, but they
Yeah.
only had clear. And so, like, the first one that I had, because the one that I actually finished the season with was a custom made one. The first one that I had was like a universal one. That one was annoying. And then when I got my custom made one, it was just like, you don't know how much you sweat until you have something on your face, like restricting your sweat. So,
Mhm.
like, I didn't realize how much I sweat until every single time out, every single time the ball was stopped, like, and the ball wasn't in play. I literally had to like pull my face mask off and like wipe my face because it was so sweaty.
So I guess you don't recommend like because like again, I mean, I feel if I see someone wearing a face mask, I think Joel Embiid did it. Like I feel like I don't know, it's like reputation of face masks. Like people kind of play better in them. I guess like you wouldn't want to do it again if you don't have to.
No, I would not do it again if I didn't have to. Honestly, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Did you think you looked like more tough that way?
I don't know. I don't know how people felt like I looked. I didn't like the look of the face mask. Honestly, it kind of like my face was like smushed, and I did not like that. But from other people's perspective, I don't know. I might have looked good with playing face mask. I don't really know.
Yeah, I just think it's almost like you're like a robot in a way. Kind of you have like a robot. Like I don't know. I think kind of has that like that look to it. Which I think is kind of cool. But I'm gonna take the no for if everyone ever offers me a face mask. I probably won't take that anymore. Yeah, but something else now with fashion. I saw your Instagram story. I couldn't see the shoes too well, but it looks like you're showing your shoes some love with the little kicks of the day posts. You
Yeah.
really big into shoes, and also coming to Arkansas, a Nike school. Have you gotten kind of a lot of shoes from them that way that are kind of cool?
Basketball shoes. Yeah, not really so like
Yeah,
casual
yeah, of
shoes,
course.
but me, I am a sneakerhead for real, and I have a bad habit of buying shoes every single time I see something that I like. It comes from my mom though. She's a sneaker addict also. But yeah, I have about a cool 40, 50 pairs of shoes, honestly. So
So I know we're in. I'm assuming your apartment room right now, where I'm gonna assume your sneakers are. Could we get a little sneak peek?
let me see. So down there
Damn.
are a couple pairs, and then up there
Oh
are
wow, that's crazy.
so yeah. I'm a pretty bad sneakerhead.
Well,
Pretty
I
bad.
mean, I wouldn't say it's like a bad thing. So, what's your favorite pair of shoes that you own, or the ones you like wear the most?
Uh wow. That's kind of hard. Um I really like my cool grays, but I don't wear them a lot just because I don't want to ruin them.
Mhm.
I also like the Red Thunder 4s, the black and red ones. Those are kind of like my favorite shoes too. But I don't really wear those type of shoes like every day. You'll probably see me pop out in an outfit with them, but like an everyday shoe, I wouldn't rock any of those just because those are like sacred to me.
Yeah. So I mean, what like thinking about it, because I mean, I love sneakers. I don't own like too many. Also, because my feet like are still growing a little bit. I think I might be done, so maybe now I'll be able to wear more sneakers and have a bigger rotation. But my feet still grow, so I'm not trying to get like a bunch of sneakers and not fit in them anymore. But the concept, I respect. I would do the same thing, but it's like thinking about it. You're like buying shoes to like never wear. Like it is kind of like sad to think about in a way.
Right. And that's like what a lot of people tell me. They'll be like, why are you spending so much money on shoes when you barely wear them? Just because I feel more comfortable knowing I have them and I have the opportunity to wear them rather than not having them being like, dang, I wish I could wear those.
Yeah.
But I just go in my closet and pull them out and wear them.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, there might be that one day, where you're going to need those shoes. Like it's almost like there's something. I mean, I want to say I'm like a hoarder. Like my like I try not to be like that, but there's a lot of things I feel like I have in my house that like we really don't need, but it comes so sometimes in school, like it'll be some like project and I need like well, I guess probably not for me, but like, let's say my sister has a project and she somehow needs like a fairy costume. Like we still have like our old Halloween costumes. Like that stuff's kind of useful. Like you think it's like dumb, but like the stuff kind of comes in handy. So yeah. So do you have a pair of shoes like a specific one that you bought and you just like you've never worn them like ever?
Do I? I don't think so. I think I've actually worn all my shoes at least once.
That's good then. That's respectable then.
At least once. Yeah, because I bought, how many pairs of shoes have I bought since I've been up here? I don't know. Maybe like a good 5 or 6 pairs that I bought since I've been up here. I've worn them all at least once. I don't think I have any shoes that I haven't worn yet. That's a good accomplishment.
Yeah, that's actually good. That should be like, if it was like a rankings thing, like that would make you like 5-star sneakerhead. I would say you at least put them to use once. But which shoes like I'm sure assuming you wore these at St. Thomas, but I'm a big Sperry's guy. I don't go to St. Thomas, but I wear those shoes like every day. I wore them today. I got my no-show socks on my feet right now. I basically wear those shoes all the time. What's the shoe you wear? I guess that like you always kind of slip on, or like I guess my friend call them like your bust down shoes, like the shoes where it's like you gotta throw on some sneakers. Like what's a shoe you're like more than likely always gonna put on?
So I have some white Flyknit Vapor Max that I wear. Those are probably like my bust down shoes for real. Like they're kind of like dirty now, but before like I took pride in like, keeping them clean, but now I just honestly don't care just because they're easy to slip on, easy to walk around in, and they're quick, like, and they're white. Well, not white, they're kind of like a grayish white, but you can easily match them with it. Like you don't have to put thought into creating an outfit to go with them.
Yeah, I like the way the Vapor Maxes, like I feel like they were like just made for walking. Like I own a pair that's like kind of purple. Like I don't know, I feel like they're like made for walking.
Right. Definitely. I feel like that. They're probably second most comfortable shoe that I have.
Yeah. I'm curious though with the Sperry's. I don't know if you have to own those for school, but do you at all miss those? I'm a big fan of those.
No, I don't miss them at all. And when I had them, I used to walk on the back of them just so that I wouldn't have to put my feet in them. So I don't miss them at all. But the hassle was buying a new pair of Sperry's every year because I used to walk on the back of them. So I used to ruin them and go buy another pair of them just to ruin them again.
Yeah, I actually used to do the same thing like a few years ago, and I did that like I think I might have a pair where like the back like it's it doesn't like it's kind of broken, but luckily like I have like a new pair. Actually, I wear them so often, like it's kind of like the insoles of them, like the thing at the like where my big toe goes, kind of. I guess like I move my feet in my shoe, like I like ruined the whole insole. There's like holes in it, like it's bad. But I think I got a new pair on the way. My mom said because I had that one for a little bit. But I think those shoes, I think they're comfy. You just kind of slip them on, like you need time. I think they're actually a great shoe. I think they deserve a little more respect, in my opinion.
Not when you wear them every day at Catholic school. They're not
I wear them every day at public school, pretty much. So I don't think I really don't see an issue in them. I think like I think they're because what I like about them too is like I feel like the color, like I think it kind of pops in a way. Like if you wear like dark clothes, like you see my shirt's kind of gray, then it's kind of got like my Sperry's. Like I think it kind of adds like a little pop, but it's not like a very out there shoe. That's kind of what I like about it too. Like whatever outfit I wear, like it just kind of adds a little like just a little bit of like flair in it.
I will say they are a shoe that can go with everything.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. I'll take that. I mean, I'm telling you, if I was like a famous athlete, like I would try to get like an NIL deal with the Sperry's. Like I thought about it. If I told people, like, if people make fun of me when I go to all these games and wear my Sperry's, like, why are you in those shoes? I'm like, listen, if I become famous, like I'm getting a sponsorship with them. Like that's like a major goal. If I'm famous, like I will be sponsored by them. I don't care. Like, you guys can like I'm telling you, I love those shoes, and I know your experience wearing them. So,
Oh, that's funny. That's actually very funny.
yeah, if I said that like at St. Thomas, like I have one of my good family friends like goes there. If I said that school, like I mean, do some people like them, or like is it kind of like the hated part of the outfit?
Some people like them, and you would also see, like, if you were to go out, you would see some people wearing them out. And it was
Mm-hmm.
just like, I knew I wouldn't be able to do that, but you can go ahead and do that. That's just your preference. Go ahead. That's your
Mm-hmm.
preference.
Yeah, I forgot what. Oh yeah, I was on one of my friends like Snapchats to go to St. Thomas, and I was realizing because I remember when I would watch the sneaker shop on a complex kind of stuff, or I think about sneakers where they kind of talk about like if you go to a school with a uniform, like the sneakers were the thing that you could wear that allows you to kind of make yourself stand out. So being at St. Thomas, where basically you have to wear the khaki pants, the sneakers, the polo shirt, the St. Thomas sweatshirt, whatever. Like, what were you able to do to make yourself stand out in a way like fashion wise, or was it really nothing you could do?
Well, so there, when I was there was like a certain lanyard color that you would be able to have. So, like, I think my junior year, it was pink. And the year before that, I can't even remember what color. Oh, the year before that was orange. But you would have a specific lanyard color if you were like hurt that enabled you to wear the Sperry's. So I would always try my best to
Mhm.
find a pink lanyard or an orange lanyard so
That's
that I
funny.
can kind of like, wear my own shoes. And not luckily, but fortunately, my what year was that? My sophomore year, I injured my ankle at States, and so I was able to get one of those lanyards. And so I got to wear like one, like, because I had a boot on one foot and I got to wear a regular shoe on the other. So I'll never forget this. One of my closest friends, he was like, I've known him since like elementary school. He was like, um, wow, you have a different pair of shoes for every day of the week. I said, I mean, yeah, this is my only time to be able to show it. So of course I'm gonna show it. And then there was like also homecoming week where like we got to dress down and like got
Mhm.
to wear whatever we wanted. That's also a time you were able to show what you had, but that was only one time a week. So
Yeah, I know the homecoming stuff is a pretty big deal. Like I think that school might have some of the best like homecoming dresser uppers, I guess you could say, because it's not like that I feel like anywhere else.
yeah.
Yeah. So I guess when you were injured, would you call that a highlight of your high school career or kind of a low? Because being injured kind of sucks, especially being a
Yeah.
basketball player. But you got to wear all the shoes. So was that a highlight? Was that kind of a sucky time?
Luckily it wasn't like mid-season. I feel like it was if it was mid-season, I would have kind of felt a little more like bad about it, but that was like the last game that we played that season, so it was kind of like I got to wear my regular shoe for like the rest of the year, so that was kind of cool.
And so what happens like if I showed up to St. Let's say I was going to St. Thomas, I show up, have my khaki shorts, got the polo, khaki pants, got the polo on. Then I wear like Crocs or something, and I don't have the special lanyard. Like what? Like do I get like detention? Like what happens if you don't like wear like the right shoes?
Yeah, they write you up, but actually this year is the first year they started letting the students wear regular shoes. So they don't wear
Yeah,
Sperry's
I
anymore.
was gonna say because I saw a picture of a girl and she was wearing like white Vans. So I was like,
They
man,
don't
they like
wear
yeah.
Sperry's anymore. You can either wear black, white, or I think it's blue shoes. And I kind of feel some type of way about that because all my 3 years that I was there, we never got to do that. And the year that I leave, they finally get to do it. It's kind of not cool, but whatever, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if I was there, I'd still be wearing the Sperry, so I don't think it would be would be a big deal. But I love how like, and I get why it's funny for you, but I just kind of love it even more because it's like other people that like are like, man, like you should be wearing like some Faber Max and sneakers stuff like that, but they don't go to say they don't really they don't even go to St. Thomas people that say that like you understand the Sperry game, so that's why I
Yeah.
just I find it kind of cool with that, but just we're talking about a little bit of St. Thomas, a little bit of that South Florida style, I guess you could say. I feel like Sperry's are a South Florida thing, I would hope. Miami Suns, I think you ended up playing with them. What was your kind of like time with them?
Well, I started playing with them. I think it was my 10th grade year was my first year playing with them. The exposure that I got on like playing on the Nike circuit in the EYBL was kind of like big, and that's kind of what got me to where I am today. But that was the only year that I played. My 11th grade year was when COVID hit, so I didn't get to play like my final year of travel basketball, which kind of sucked. But I was already committed, so it was kind of like a blessing in disguise, you could say.
Mm-hmm. Wait. When did you say you committed? I just completely forgot what you just said.
November of 2019.
Okay. Oh wait. So let's see. Today's 2022. So wait. So what? So that being your junior year, I think.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
junior
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. So you committed kind of early then, I guess you
Yeah.
could say. Yeah. So I mean, how was that? Like that's obviously pretty early. Like getting that over with.
I just didn't want to be indecisive, and then I didn't want it to also come down to like the very last minute. Like if I knew what I wanted, I was gonna take the opportunity, and I did, and it kind of all worked out.
Yeah, when Corona hit and a lot of people were like almost scrambling for their commitments, were you kind of like, like in the nicest way possible, like haha, like got that over with? Like was that kind of nice to see where Corona happened, you ended up like not even need to worry about like where you're going to school?
Yeah, but then for some of my friends who like weren't committed, or like some of my teammates who weren't committed, it was like, dang, like I really wish you had this season for you to be able to like, show like your last bit of talent in order to get you like a scholarship to a school.
Yeah. So, being from South Florida, playing at Arkansas, I guess what sorts of things would you say you maybe do that kind of you do that like represents South Florida in a way, whether it's like just like playing Kodak or something like that, or I don't know, feel like you have some sort of South Florida style to you. Like, what do you think you do over at Arkansas that you really is like kind of South Florida related?
I kind of say my lingo. Some of the things like we say, or like the way that we say some things, a lot of the people up here are like, "What are you talking about?" And then I have to like break it down and explain it, and then they're like, "Oh." But I'd say the one thing that I took from living in South Florida was probably like the way that I talk and like the lingo and the terms that we use for certain things.
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever say y'all?
I actually do say it. I say it so bad now. It's
Wow.
so bad. I don't like, it's not like I'm trying purposely to say it, but it's just like I've adapted kind of to like the people here and like the way that they talk. So it's kind of like, latched onto me, and I kind of do it now. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I can't see myself saying that. Hopefully, I don't get that point. But as we near the end of the interview, kind of a few questions that are more like looking to the future. I know I think yesterday was a WNBA draft. I'm assuming that's a goal of yours. What was it like kind of watching that yesterday, knowing that you were SEC freshman of the year and kind of knowing like, I'm on the right track to being in that spot in a year or two?
it was kind of like I could picture myself there, but in all honesty, I don't want to go to the WNBA just because I don't feel like for the amount of effort and work that they put in that they're getting paid enough for it. So my whole thing is I want to take my degree and I want to do something with that rather than go to the WNBA. And then also that's not really like a guarantee. Like there's no guarantee that I'll get the draft. There's no guarantee that I'll be drafted. There's no guarantee that I'll be invited to a training camp. So it's just like there's a lot of uncertainty in going to the WNBA or taking that track and going to the WNBA. And I feel like if I take my degree and I do something with it, there might be some uncertainty, but it just won't be as much as if I were to take the WNBA track.
Yeah, I feel bad that I'm gonna ask you all these questions, but I've never heard like a response like that before. So like I mean I gotta ask like a bunch of stuff. I mean like so then what's it like kind of I mean, college basketball takes up like a lot of time. So what's even the point of you, really playing? And I mean you won SEC freshman of the year, like you're like going hard out there. What's the point of doing that when you're not even gonna, go pro with it?
Well, my whole mentality is the ball eventually stops rolling. And if that's my senior year in college, then so be it. But I honestly feel like if I were to be invited to the WNBA draft, I would probably take that opportunity. Or if there was a possibility that I would get drafted to a team, I would. But I mean, you never know. Some things may change in the next 2 to 3 years. I may change my mind. The pay grade that the players in WNBA make may change. And so that might be a determining factor in whether I do want to go or whether I don't want to go. But right now, my mindset is just, finish college, finish playing college basketball for free, because that's also a thing. You're on scholarship, you really don't have to pay for much. So that's also a reason why I'm still playing, is just because I'm going to college for free. There's that worry of my parents not having to pay for anything while I'm up here, everything being taken care of for me. That's a blessing in itself, just not having to worry my parents about college or worry my parents about the funds of college. And so, yeah, like if it does come down to my senior year and I still do want to play basketball, I may take that track, but the ball eventually does stop rolling. So if it ends up rolling and stops rolling in my senior year, then so be it, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely like that approach. I'm curious though, like do you think, because I know things are, I guess, nothing's like as good as, I guess, men's basketball. Like the NBA is still, I guess you say, way better than WNBA in terms of money, exposure, all that stuff. But I would say the WNBA is at least getting, even if it's not getting much better, it's getting like a teensy bit better, like in terms of money and all that stuff. I mean, do you expect that trend to keep going up, or how do you think that's going to go for women's basketball?
I mean, I feel like it will, just because there's a lot of, Title IX stuff going on, for this being a 50th year of Title IX or whatever. They're trying to make a step forward in making women's sports better. And I feel like probably in the next couple of years that they're going to be trending upward heavily. Right now, it's probably just a minimal trend, but it'll probably get to, being way more than it is. And, it's something to look forward to, honestly, just because, you see all the stuff that men's basketball gets, the NBA gets, all of the things that they're able to get that we're starting to somewhat get, but haven't completely gotten it entirely yet. I'm just looking forward to it, honestly.
Yeah, I just hope they make more jerseys, because I wanted to buy a Courtney Vandersloot jersey and they didn't make any. And I was like, I was like kind of annoyed, because I told my dad like I probably wasn't gonna make him buy it for me anyways, but he's from Chicago and he didn't care about watching the finals at all. He just like sometimes like just won't watch sports. And I'm like the Chicago Sky and the WNBA finals right now, like you should be watching. And he's like, no, like I don't care. I'd rather watch like Netflix. And I'm like, all right, fine. If they win, like you're buying me a Courtney Vandersloot jersey. He's like, fine, deal. And I couldn't find one. And I know about that.
Yeah, well.
And the jerseys, the jerseys are cool too. Like I love the jerseys themselves. I think they kind of have some cool jerseys as well.
They're pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, but whatever it is what it is. I'm gonna hope I'm gonna be making more. Especially, I mean, I kind of like some of the WNBA jerseys a little more than the NBA ones. But you mentioned again, if let's say WNBA all of a sudden like tomorrow they like, go bankrupt or something like that. It probably won't happen. But like, let's say it does. There's no chance of you ever going pro. You said you want to finish your degree, get that. I'm assuming you love what you're studying. So what is your degree?
Recreation and sports management. I want to take that and kind of like, I've always wanted to stay in the basketball life, whether it be like a coach, a GA, an assistant coach, like something on any level, because you could always help somebody grow their game on any level that you decide to choose. So I just want to take that, and wherever it leads me, that's where I'll end up, honestly.
So that was actually a good response for me right now because I literally today just changed my degree for Florida State because I was thinking I feel like a sports management degree is kind of risky and that's what I had. So I literally before this interview change it from marketing, then I'm gonna like minor in sports management. Like I feel like just sports management, in my opinion, like again, it's such like a risky kind of business. A lot of people want to be involved in sports, but so few people can. Like what do you think? You're gonna be able to do like in that field that's going to be able to make you a good amount of money. Would you say that you being able to play college basketball does that kind of give you a big advantage? Would you say if you were like an average student, maybe you wouldn't recommend pursuing a degree in that?
Yeah, so I just feel like playing college basketball and being in this world, you meet a lot of people, you gain a lot of connections, and when you create relationships with people who have the opportunity to put you in a position to succeed, that's something that could definitely help you. So I feel like throughout my years in college and playing college basketball, I'll definitely run into some people, meet some people, gain and start building relationships with people that could help me uh like have a spot in doing something fresh out of college. I wouldn't
Mhm.
have to basically like stress myself to look for something, or, be like taking a couple months off trying to find something. Whereas when I build those connections and I have those people, I could just have something right out of college.
Yeah. Would you say like for me, because I wanted to do marketing, I think, because I never done anything marketing related, but like with my Instagram, I think I kind of learned like almost how to promote myself in a way. And I guess my Instagram's not doing like too well, but like I'm doing something in a way. So I was like, maybe I'll do marketing. But then I do love sports, and I guess maybe the Instagram might help me with that as well. So that's why I chose to minor in sports management. Do you think that was a smart idea? Should I maybe just go all in on sports management? What's your opinion on like I guess the choice I just made?
I mean, you minoring in sports management, like marketing is what probably would make you the most money first. And
Mhm.
then you could take that marketing and you could be hired to a professional team, or be hired to a WNBA team, be hired to an NBA team. So, I mean, having that marketing skill first is probably important, just because that could take you in different pathways. It wouldn't just have to be
Yeah.
sports, it could be other things.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. And then also like still having the sports management, like I'm still doing something sports related. So I feel like it was like a good kind of balance.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. I guess what like because I remember I used to want to be like a journalist kind of thing, like wanted to be on ESPN. Like obviously, we're doing these interviews. So in a way I still kind of do, but not really because I took TV production at my school. I kind of hated it, learned a lot of things I just didn't like. I guess like when I take sports management, would you say, or I guess if I take sports management, would you say like I'm gonna be like maybe this isn't for me, or is it kind of fun like if you like sports? I'm kind of concerned it's gonna ruin sports for me, kind of like how TV production ruined me wanting to be on ESPN.
Well, I mean, it honestly just depends on like your professors and your teachers, and then like also like their curriculum. If they have boring curriculum, I definitely would think that it would be boring and would maybe ruin your dreams. But if you have a teacher who's like actually invested in helping you get that goal of sports management, or get your sports management minor degree, or lead you in a direction where you could get an opportunity to do something in sports, I feel like that's a big part also, because a lot of professors just don't care. They just teach you the curriculum. But if you have one that actually cares about your well-being in you getting your degree, I feel like that's a huge part.
Yeah, I think I at Florida State. I don't know about UF because I might go there as well, but I know Florida State I think has unless it's for a graduate degree, but I think they're really number one in sports management, so I'm assuming it's pretty good there. So I guess it's a good sign, good sign for sure. But I guess my final question for you, I kind of like to end things as I mentioned earlier, like looking in the future, good positive note. So when you step away from the game of basketball, whether it's after your senior year of college, whether it's after having the best being the GOAT of the WNBA or something like that, or even if it's tomorrow, you're just like, I hate basketball, I want to quit. What do you want your legacy to be like?
I just want people to know that I started from the bottom. I was never originally at the top, and I never really had like that. oh my gosh, it's Samara Spencer.
Mm.
But I built up and I worked my way into becoming that person. And I feel like that can go a long way with a lot of people, no matter in what you do. It doesn't have to necessarily be sports. It could be like an everyday life thing. It could be like a job opportunity thing. It's just always, when you start from the bottom, you always have an opportunity to work your way up. And you also don't have like that spotlight on you to do good because you're kind of like in the back of the classroom. Like, I feel like there's a lot of pressure on people who are already at the top just because you have to maintain that good image. You have to maintain that, oh my gosh, they're that person image. Whereas if you're someone coming from the bottom, you really don't have an image. So you can work your way into getting that image.
Yeah, definitely. And yes, I really, really appreciate you taking your time. We just kind of got one more thing we got to do. Not have a tradition where, I say a one-word summary of like what I thought the interview was, and you could say like a word as well that you think reflected the interview. So I think for this interview, I'm gonna put more for myself. I'm gonna put curious because I don't know why, but I was just feeling kind of curious today. I think I asked a lot of like kind of very interesting questions, things that aren't, as like broad or as serious, but there's a lot of things I was curious about. So I think that's going to be my word. Curious, I'm almost going to say professional because I think, being in college basketball, you've already played a season. I guess you could say you're almost like a mini professional, like a college athlete compared to a high school athlete are two different people. So I would say I kind of had a little more professional vibe to it as well.
My word is two words, but I would say good vibes. These were good vibes.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a good word. Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. But anyways, before we go, is make sure you guys give us both a follow on Instagram. Hers is at Samara Spencer, but with two A's at the end of her first name. And mine's at iHoopsFL. And anyways, for University of Arkansas guard Samara Spencer, I'm Isaac Fleischer, and this has been another iHoopsFL interview. Peace out, guys.